So today we're going to talk about flippers. And we've talked about flippers a lot in the past. And I'm going to say something today that I've never said before, and you probably never expected me to say. Flippers are no longer the worst thing for the Funko community. Funko is the worst thing for the Funko community.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Because Funko has done nothing but screw things up lately. The Arizona sale thing went horribly wrong.
Okay, and I'm assuming we're going to be talking about that in this video.
There's bits and pieces that we're going to talk about. Because in my opinion, we have to drain all the life out of that Arizona story. Like, we just can't leave any juice in it. We got to squeeze every ounce out.
So this will be, what, video number 3 or 4?
Episode 55 of the Arizona Conspiracy. That's what I'm calling it now. It's called the Arizona Conspiracy.
Conspiracy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about flippers because I want to just say clearly that flippers are not a horrible thing for the Funko community or any community.
Well, yeah, we've said that time and time again.
We have, and the reason why we say that is because flippers make Funko and whatever product that they're flipping relevant.
They help to make it relevant.
They help to make it relevant. They give hype. There's a lot of hype when it comes to flipping.
Yeah, because people do see the value in Funko products. However, it is elevated quite a bit when there's all these extra people from the outside of the community, the flippers, buying multiples of everything, and therefore making the products more scarce because they're then going to list them on the secondary market for prices higher than what your average collector wants to pay. I mean, everyone wants to get their items at retail, right? That's not always going to happen.
But hard to get rare items make collecting fun. Because if you could just go out to the store and you could grab everything off the shelf and say, I own them all and look at me. After you have them all on the shelf, you're looking at them and you're like, done! And that's it. And it's no longer fun. So you want the item to chase after. It's not fun if you can get everything. And Funko overproducing is proof positive of that. And we've talked about that countless times.
Absolutely. However, I do have a small issue with what you said because you said, well, limited items and we're talking about flippers. If there's a 500-piece product and there's 2,000 people that want that product, obviously it's going to be more limited.
True.
So even without flippers, that specific product is in demand.
You're absolutely right, and I'm sorry that I screwed that up. Is that what you want to hear?
You did. You f***ed up.
Anyway, we have received emails and messages, comments, all sorts of stuff from people about what happened in Arizona. And basically what was explained is that there was sort of like a military operation that played out there where their stores or flippers or whatnotters or whatever you want to call them running around inside of the warehouse and collecting all the things that they wanted. They put them literally in bags in the corner of the store and they sort of had to inventory them, but even before they bought them. I saw videos where people were walking up to the bags and just looking at the stuff inside and they're like, what's this and what's that? The person standing next to the bag is basically like, that's mine. That's the response that they're getting.
The person
it's really
was
weird.
Probably just wondering, like, what is that? Where did you get it?
Or the person standing there just didn't hear what they were saying. It could have been anything, but it was just comical watching the little videos and hearing that response.
That sounds very rude.
It was just weird. Okay, so that aside, these things are happening there, but you also have this other group of people who are there to buy Funko Pops and collect them. Yeah. But I think for the most part, what was happening there, people that were basically taking full advantage of Funko Pops and other products being marked down and being able to sell them in the secondhand market.
Of course.
Which, totally acceptable. Listen, Funko opened their doors and people are going to go in there and they're going to buy stuff. But the problem that I had was that Funko didn't necessarily set up that sale properly. Like, maybe they could have made it better. Maybe they could have filed people in and only had a few people in the store at a time make their little purchase and then run out. But Funko wanted a fire sale. They wanted to sell everything. They want to wipe the slate clean and clean that warehouse out.
Tax purposes, I'm telling you.
Tax purposes, you can call it whatever you want. Even space purposes. It could be all sorts of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, Funko wanted to get rid of all that. And they were willing to break their own rules in order to do so. I.e., sell NFT Funko Pops. It's my understanding by some messages I received that some of the gold geckos would not ring up, and they were practically giving them away.
I read that too. I wish that we were there for that reason and that reason only.
Yeah.
Well, I think...
Because we wanted to get a gold gecko.
No, well, I mean, that would be cool and all to have a piece that limited. I wish that I experienced these things firsthand because so far what we have said, and we've made it very clear in our videos, is that we received multiple messages from different people, whether it be through email, through message, through messenger, about the events that happened. I would say at least, like minimum, 15 to 20 people reached out to us to tell me their experience there. And I would like to say that the people who had the most positive experience were there on Thursday.
Yes, because no one knew what was going to be in there.
And once word got out that they had some good shit there, that's when people started to come in.
Also people being able to take off work, right? Because some people just can't take off work during the week. So they were able to take off work. They're there Saturday. And is it a complete surprise that the police were called on Saturday? No, of course not. Because everybody could show up then.
We still, though, don't really understand the police's
There was some
involvement.
trespassing thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there.
I just wish that I knew the story because I've heard from certain people like, oh my god, the police were called, but then I heard from other people like it wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, somebody had commented on one of our videos about the warehouse stuff. What do we think that the guards could have done versus what they were doing while they were there? And how could we do any better as to YouTubers who know nothing about being a security guard? And the only thing that I want to say...
hold on. First of all, people don't know what we do as a job, so how do they not know that I'm not a security guard?
But I have done security job sort of duty stuff before for events, so I kind of know some things, but I don't know a whole lot. But crowd control is not an easy thing. And
no, it's not.
And it takes a lot discipline. You got to be a certain type of person to do it. I'm not necessarily the type of person to do stuff like that. But what I will say is, the way that people, the woman in the videos, the way that she was screaming at people was not it. And that was sort of the point that I was making. So I just wanted to address that. Not that it matters in this video. But let's get back to the flipper part. So people complaining about the flippers that were there on site in Arizona, bagging up Funko Pops where they bought them, inventorying them to see what they purchased and everything else. Fine. A Funko allowed it. So you and I can't sit back and be like, well, they're... Screw them.
No, because Funko let it happen.
Funko let it happen, and that's just how it is. Now, Funko was using force or saying, hey, you guys can't do this, and they were doing it anyway or whatever, then we'd have a lot more to talk about. But what I'm saying is that when it comes down to it, and you're in a situation like that, give everybody a chance. Like, even if you're a flipper or you're one of those people at the store, they want to make as much money off that product as they possibly can, and they want to get as much product as they can, and the more rare, the better. So they're in there with their sights on all that stuff for the purposes of making more money. I think there are a pretty good amount of people out there that are willing to push, shove, and scream and holler in order to get that. And I hope that none of that happened. We hadn't heard of anything like that happening.
We did hear something about a security guard being shoved, but that could mean anything. That could have been like someone accidentally bumped into somebody who bumped into somebody and it was like a domino effect. Or it could be, hey, f*** you security guard, shut the f*** up.
So there is somebody who emailed us, and their message basically stated that some of the people that were at that Arizona location, at that warehouse, they are some of the same people who go to Funko-related stores like Funko Hollywood store. They have like free roam to do anything that they want.
We were getting comments about that today on our videos saying that the same people that are being heavily talked about in the community are the same people that go to Hollywood, and apparently there's someone that works there that gives them some sort of special treatment. Now, I don't know this to be true.
Oh, geez.
But I did hear from multiple people that the Chester cheetahs with the fluff cheeks or whatever, they weren't being randomly handed out. They were being handed to the same flippers that are always there.
Again, this is a Funko problem. Those flippers aren't going in there and strong-arming anybody. They're not holding the place up.
But
Funko Hollywood's doing it.
Is it a Funko problem, or is it an employee of Funko problem that hasn't quite made it to the top of Funko's ears yet? Because would Funko allow it if they knew it was happening?
Yes, they would, because they don't care. They want to make every dollar they possibly can. We've seen this.
But in order to make every dollar they possibly can, they need to make things fair, and they need to keep people coming back. Now, if you or I heard about that story and heard that you have to get in line at 9 p.m. for the store to open at, 10 or 11 a.m.?
Oh my God, screw that.
No, listen. In order to even have a possible chance at getting something
I hear
good,
you, yeah.
Listen. Would you or I go to that store hoping for a chase?
No, hell no.
Absolutely not. So, with that being said, in order to keep people coming back, in order to keep your collectors happy and the people who visit your store happy, stop catering to the same people. Make it fair for everybody.
You just lifted a rock up, and there's a lot of nonsense going on underneath that rock, and you just told the whole world, all 200 viewers of our channel.
I'm going to tell my dad he's going to watch this 201.
So in this email, it says, this is the first event of Funko in Arizona, and it's sad and infuriating to witness people's true ugly colors.
Oof.
Funko keeps saying they are against bots and flippers, yet they have these people's credit card information, and they can easily restrict them from making excessively large purchases of an item. I was able to get a bunch of great stuff, but I came out more tired and disappointed at Funko and people in general. This is boots on the ground we're talking about here. This is somebody who lived this scenario. We didn't. We're hearing secondhand, right? So there's some shit going on. Flipping isn't necessarily bad, but greed is.
Greed makes people ugly and do very, very nasty things.
But I think the same people that this person's talking to are some of the same people who got a little rough and tumble with us on Instagram and also with Dr. Applesauce. So there was a little bit of frustration going on there because we were speaking our mind. I don't really like that this stuff was going down, and somebody basically posted like a status saying, I watched everything that happened in Arizona, the Funko warehouse, and how it played out was really interesting, and I have to commend the people and how they were able to run this operation of getting all these Funko Pops. He's basically commending them.
He's basically saying it's impressive the way that they did it.
So basically I said, like, I don't think you should commend them. This is trash. That's what I said. Which I believe that it is, but if I were there overseeing this or I watched it on a camera and I'm watching these people run around the store, I might be a little impressed too, because but listen, I've never done that before.
Here's the thing though. You have one person saying, hey, this is impressive the way it was run, but then you have not just this one person, but other people saying that people were being ugly. We've had, like I said earlier, we've had 15 to 20 minimum different stories of different people that came from there. And they all said, with the exception of the Thursday people, the same thing about the people who were being rude. Now, I don't know if it's the same group of people. I don't know if it's multiple different groups of people, different days. What exactly happened? I didn't keep tabs. And while it might be something that's impressive and seeing people work this whole warehouse sale the way that they did, what is not impressive and what is trash and what I believe you were referring to is the ugliness that it brought out of people.
Yes.
And the greediness that it brought out of people.
100,000%. So right now, I just want to let you know that we're not in the good graces of some people. And some of them, you're not going to believe this, some of them blocked us.
Why?
I called one a Weasel.
Is that why they're upset?
Well, it might be. I'm not sure.
Hold on. You called someone a Weasel?
Yes.
They got mad about it?
By the way, I refer to my wiener as a Weasel.
They were the only people being hostile, and they were the only people saying that things went well. Well, obviously it went well if you're showing up with a clown car full of 20 people in it. I would imagine that those were the people, or maybe a group of the people who were doing that thing, those things. First, they were getting hostile and trying to tell their side of the story, which never works. Like, if they wanted to tell us how it went down, they would have slid into our DMs and they would have said, hey, listen, not everything is the way that you had mentioned. This is how it really went down. But instead, one of them prefaced their comment calling you a lady, you and Dr. Applesauce a lady, because you had mentioned him in your post. Right. Then they got mad over you calling them a weasel. I mean, what's more insulting? Calling a man a lady or calling somebody a weasel?
You want to know what's worse?
What?
Calling somebody a lady weasel.
We're hearing this story about rude people.
And they're being rude. They're showing us that they're rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. No, I totally get that. But let's get off this subject. Let's talk about the real matter at hand here.
Okay, what's the real matter?
So, the real matter is we've already basically put these flippers where they belong, sort of, in the Funko community. There have been many times where I've been in conversations with friends, and we're all talking about the Funko Pop that's going to hit the store today. Do we want it or do we not want it? And we're like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get it. I'm going to pass. As soon as we pass, and it sells out, and we had no idea, had any expectation that that Funko Pop would sell out. But when it sells out, you're like, damn it, why didn't I buy it? I really wanted that. That's where the hype comes from. So that hype is typically there because you have the bots and the flippers buying everything up, it sells out, and now that penguin is super popular.
Okay, let's just be clear, I don't think that's worth it.
This is a great one, and how
I'm not saying he's not great.
But I started this video by saying that Funko is now worse than the flipper. And the reason why I said that is because Funko did not control how things went on at the Arizona warehouse, from what we understand. They basically let all their rules be broken, where people were buying more of items than was originally stated per their rule listing, I guess. So people were it was just Wild Wild West. People were doing whatever the hell they wanted. Funko sold the NFT Funko Pops in there as well.
That's encouraging, straight up, flippers to come and
absolutely
cause a ruckus.
I really thought more NFT Funko Pops would show up.
Me too.
I really, really did. I thought Transformer Funko Pops would show up at some point. I really did. But the Geckos, all these different things, Geckos were prizes for people, right? And apparently either people didn't receive the prizes, or we didn't select winners, or they made more than the 100 Geckos. Who knows what any of that is?
Yeah.
But Funko has done all of these really crazy things, overproduction. They are their own worst enemy at this point. And so now, I look back at all the times where we sat here and complained about flippers and bots, and we're screaming and hollering at the camera, it's trash, and saying all these things. We have come full circle. Now I'm sitting back, I'm praising flippers right now.
Okay, I don't think we're praising
I'm not praising flippers, I'm just saying, I'm like, they're actually not that bad.
I mean, I've said that.
But I think in this point in time, we sort of need the flippers to come in hardcore and just buy up all the to make things popular again. Can you guys go and just clear all the shelves at Target or something for us? And then that way these things will be sought after? Can we get a hype train on the that nobody wants? Is that possible? Has that ever happened before?
Yes, it has. I currently have a collection of about 20 to 30 Snowman Captain Americas.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Nobody wants them. They sent them all to me.
Oh my God, we have so many of those things.
We have so many.
All right, so the bottom line, we hope that in the future Funko can control these situations a little bit better.
Yes.
Especially the Arizona stuff. I'm sure they'll do this again. It seemed to be profitable for them. They were able to sell out a lot of They also need to control the Funko Hollywood store a bit better, based off of all the stories that we've heard. We didn't mention that we've gotten a lot of stories about people at HQ and Hollywood that do exactly the same stuff.
Yeah.
Butting in line, being sort of nasty, and pushing people around, and all this, the bullying.
Grown-ass adults.
Right. So this type of behavior is not needed for this community, but it's something we'll never get rid of.
It is, and it's very unfortunate. And again, greed and money do those things to people.
Yeah. Flippers are good and bad. Funko needs to get their act together and try to fix some of this stuff up. This time, hire maybe a better guard force, or maybe more. Maybe they needed more guards.
I think rather than more guards or whatever, they should have had some sort of barricade. And they should have just, if they didn't want people on their physical property, barricade it, let people make their weird line.
Yeah.
Whatever happens outside of their property is outside of their property and can be dealt with by somebody else or some other means. But when it's time to open their doors, then they let people go single file, no rushing, no cutting, no butting, whatever. Maybe make sort of a line thing where you literally can't get to other aisles and first come, first serve? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but I do think that they need to take whatever happened and learn from it and do something differently next time. Chris, what is your idea for the guard force?
They should put out an Ed 209 from RoboCop.
So I'm going to leave my thoughts at this. And a lot of people might think that I'm joking, but I'm totally not. This is one of my favorite movies of all time and one of my favorite quotes from a movie of all time ever.
Ooh, okay.
It's from Mean Girls, and no, it's not "That's so fetch."
Yeah, okay. That means nothing to me.
I'm not going to get it perfectly right, but she says something along the lines of, "I wish that I could bake a cake full of rainbows and smiles and we can just all eat it and be happy." And that's when Damien says she doesn't even go here, and then they kick her out. But she had a great idea, and guess what? Nobody lives by that.
And they never will, because that's insane.
We should all eat it and get along and be happy. But instead, you have people that are like grabbing all of one item. You have people that are like being rude to others. And it's all over toys.
I wish Ed 209 would just come in here and take me out of my misery. Let us know what you think about flippers and more in the comment section down below. And what would you do if you were called a lazy weasel? That sounds like what somebody referred to as not being able to get a boner.
A lazy weasel?
I got a case of a lazy weasel.
Maybe that's why they were so upset.
Yeah. In every video, we like to shout out to some of our patrons from Patreon. In this video, we'd like to shout out to Stephen McBroom, Greg Malley, Nelson Shaner, Jason Snowbarger, Amy Richmond, Denver Bow, Adam Rubin, Stationary Wanderer, Brian Spears, and Mark Wright. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We appreciate all of our patrons. You guys rock. Okay, so we're going to end this on a comment that we just received on Instagram.
Oh, God.
I feel like this whole event was made for resellers. The whole setup is a flipper's wet dream, and they put the splash emoji, like the little wet. Con exclusives, NFT pops, and contest prizes all at discount prices. Even if they limited it to 2 per person, if you are rolling 20 people deep, you can still walk out with everything. And then they put an emoji where it looks like they're covering their eyes. They probably should have just done that and said, hey, resellers, you guys come in and buy all of our stuff out. We'll sell it to you, and then you can sell it secondary. Why not? It would have saved the time of all the people going there hoping that they were going to get a grail.
I don't know what the solution is, but it wasn't that.
One thing I do know, we're not a pair of lazy weasels.
Or lady weasels.
Or lady weasels. Guys, remember as always, we are together, yes. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.